Welcome to Empowering Texas Voters, a journey through voting issues, the podcast dedicated to informing and engaging Texans on the critical topic of voting rights. Today we have a special guest, Herlinda Resendiz, who will share her expertise on the topic of underrepresented communities in Dallas and how we are able to not just get people registered, which we are very focused on doing, a lot of groups are focused on doing, but getting people to the polls. So thank you so much for joining us today, Herlinda. If you want to introduce yourself and just say who you are, which I did not do. I am Elaine. I'm the Vice President of Voter Services and Education for the League of Women Voters Dallas. Very happy to have Herlinda here. And if you want to introduce yourself, you're also on the board for the League.
Yes. My name is Herlinda Resendiz. I reside in Pleasant Grove, and I am also a board member of the League of Women Voters.
Thank you. So in your experience, Herlinda, what are some of the significant barriers and obstacles in the communities that you work with and that you live in and that you grew up in that people, even when they're registered, maybe are not very motivated to actually get to the polls?
Yes. One of the barriers that I do experience sometimes is a language barrier, but also the excitement is not there. They may be registered or they got registered years ago and they're not excited about it, which doesn't drive them to get informed about the process or the elections happening. Most of the individuals that I do talk to are, yes, they usually vote on presidential elections.
Okay. So, but when it comes to the local elections, the ones for school board, city council, commissioner's court, there's a lack of
lack of information and motivation. Most of them usually just think, oh, well, didn't we just have one? We continue to have these elections, and I don't know why I'm having to vote, or why are you here at my door telling me to go vote, or here getting me registered? I think I'm already registered, or where can I find the information?
Okay.
So for me, I would say mostly it would be the information, having the accessibility to get to the resources.
So what do you think are some things, because we're both community leaders, what do you think are some things that we could do better, that we could change in order to make a difference, in order to actually help people who are in what I call underrepresented communities? And when I say underrepresented communities, I'm not speaking specifically about the pigment of someone's skin, or I'm speaking about where the resources are allocated currently in our city. There are communities, which I want to talk a little bit about that, because you have been in your community for a while, and you drive through a lot of different communities, yes. Not just all over Texas, actually. So there is definitely a difference between where resources are allocated. But what do you think that we could do to help people who are in underrepresented communities become more motivated to actually get to the polls?
Continue to make information accessible. As we know, the information, yes, may be online. Yes, the information may be on voter guides, and the League does a very good job at doing that. We have the voter's guide, and we have it in multiple languages. And we work with organizations that help us distribute that information so residents or voters can read it in their language and make it accessible. Mm-hmm. The key issue for me, and I will reiterate, is making the resources accessible.
Right.
When they have the resources accessible, it's easy for them to be informed. It's easy for them to say, well, this issue impacts me. That's going to drive me to the polls.
That actually brings something to me in mind, and I would like to ask you if you have seen a difference in this area. I have had many people, whenever I have done voter registration type things, say, well, the only time people come to my community is during an election, right before an election. We would love to see, which we are trying to work on, we would love to see education sessions in our apartment buildings, in our communities during the year, not for us to go somewhere, but for people to come to us. Have you seen any improvement in that respect?
I will say yes and no. I know from our end on here with the league, we do go to the community and we go to different background communities, right? We are in Pleasant Grove doing the voter drives, registering people to vote, and that's where we're able to do that contact and talk to them about getting informed, and we pass out the voter's guide. But I do think that as a community, we need to do better in making sure that we're going to the people, but also letting them know that they can come to us by different methods, by different ways of social media, outreach, email, etc.
So, thank you. I'm glad to see that the league is doing those things. I do agree, all of us could do better, and we are constantly, in pretty much every meeting we have, we're talking about how we can do better with not just registering people, but going in the communities and throughout the year to educate and help people understand exactly what is on the ballot. So I do want to talk a little bit, we were talking a little bit before we started about what I mean, or what we mean by underrepresented communities, and what you see that is different, for example, in the area that you grew up in and live in, and possibly in other areas like North Dallas or other areas in Texas that have more resources allocated to them, what you have seen?
Well, for me, underrepresented communities are communities that obviously don't always have the information, but that they're, in a way, forgotten by the system, right? We need to make sure that we're talking to these communities. You may have some person that is disabled, but they don't know how to get certain resources, and things like that, I would say.
Yeah.
Or language barrier is a big one too. Latinos are the biggest voting bloc in the state of Texas, but yet we don't come out to vote.
Right.
And it's very important, and I think the messaging has a lot to do with it.
The messaging? So how could we improve on the messaging?
Understanding what each community needs.
Yeah, that is something that our other guest who was about on this topic, Derek Avery, was talking about, was not just saying vote for this person, but also saying, do you see this road that has been broken like this right outside your window? And it's been like that maybe since you were a child. This person, like for example, someone who maybe is not motivated to vote for city council, these are the people who will make the budget decisions on that. And if they see that this neighborhood is voting, believe me, they will try to figure out how to fix it.
And it all has to do with the messaging and what the community relates to, right? Like in my area in Pleasant Grove, people care about putting food on the table.
Right.
People care about education, their neighborhood schools. People care about having health care for their kids to be able to go to the doctor. Those are issues that matter in our community, and it's about making sure that whoever is making these decisions, we're able to connect them to the community, be the bridge to the community to make sure that whoever is going to best represent everybody across the board.
So if we can clearly message exactly the voting records, I mean, I know we do that in Vote 411, just comparing voting records and even possibly get all the candidates in a room so they can ask detailed questions, which we do try to do. This really helps me think of some things that we could be better at, and asking, okay, in this neighborhood, let's ask these people who live in this neighborhood what they're looking for.
Yes.
And how we can address these things. So that really gives me some great ideas. So let me ask you this, because I know that you have seen this happen. How can policymakers work together to actually implement the changes?
Talking to the community.
Yeah.
They're like, how are you supposed to know what your community wants if you're not talking to them? I think that most of the policies that pass, they come from ideas that constituents bring up to their elected officials.
Okay.
And as policymakers, they should not wait for the community to come to them. They should go out to the community as well, to make sure, because a lot of, I know we're in the topic of talking about, resources.
Right.
Not everyone knows how to navigate
Absolutely.
the government, or you talk about the government or city hall, a courthouse, a judge, and policymaker. A lot of individuals are scared because they've never had that contact with them, or if they have, it's been a negative contact with law enforcement or with an elected official, a government agency.
Yes.
So bringing trust, right? If elected officials or policymakers, groups like the league are bringing these individuals in front of them, I think that is a solution to bridging a gap.
Yeah. With your experience on the work that you have done, I do like the fact that you brought up people are afraid, because I was that way years ago with a lack of understanding of how to even do that. People are afraid to engage with elected official. When I've started doing it, I was surprised to find out they actually want that.
Yes.
Some of the elected officials don't know what to do. They literally don't know how or who to reach out to find out what's happening. And it will be helpful for the league to hopefully more so become that bridge.
Yes.
Explaining to people, talking to the legislative leaders, because we have all of their contacts, and talking to the community and say, let's get the two of you together.
Yes, and for those that don't know as well, I've had the honor of working for elected officials, but every single elected official, does not matter what party they belong to, they have staff.
Yes.
And as staff, our responsibility is to hear concerns or any issues that they're having with any state agency. And if you're a staff member for a federal elected official, you handle all the federal issues, and it just continues to go down according to what jurisdiction you have. So keep that in mind, that if you ever have any issue with any agency, you can reach out to your elected official, because they're there to help you.
And I can 100% say that is a fact. I was surprised to find out how easy it is to make an appointment with the elected officials' legislative team. And also, some people may think, well, I want to actually meet with the representative. Well, believe it or not, the legislative team is the one that's feeding the information,
Yes.
that's actually writing the bills, that's actually telling them, this is what you need to vote for, this is not, and this is why. So that's actually a powerful thing, and it is not hard to set up meetings with them at all.
No. Yes. Everyone always talks to staff. And trust me, as a staffer, I will let you know that it's us that gives the information to the elected official.
Yeah, which is really, really great to know. So I want you to, talking to your community, your community where your family lives, your friends live, the people you were closest to. What are some long-term benefits of actively engaging and being involved and getting to the polls and staying up to date?
Your vote, if you make that into a habit and make it into a culture in your family to continue to go vote, long term you will continue to see that, and you will see the change as well, because they will continue to do it. If there's more addition to your family, you talk to your neighbors, you talk to your friends, spreading the word, eventually you will see things that matter get done, right? So if you're voting because for this individual, because they're gonna promise you that they're gonna fix that pothole on the street, those are issues that will connect with the community of that area, and it will bring them out to vote.
Awesome. One thing I do want to, from my perspective, and I want to know if you agree, I have seen, because I've been involved with the league for a while, even with the goals of the League of Women Voters, and when it comes to making sure that there is true diversity and engaging in people who have different backgrounds, different economic backgrounds, coming from different, the League is just constantly, everything we do, I have seen, making a concentrated effort to hope everyone is engaged. Have you seen improvements in that?
Yes, I have.
I mean,
yes, we're able to. Someone has a question about who's running for this office. Oh, hold on! There's a voting guide. I can send you the link online,
Yeah.
or if you want a paper copy, you can pick it up at some libraries.
Yes.
Like the information that the League has is accessible.
right, and we try to do it in different languages.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to say that because I mean that I've seen a huge difference in that area.
Even when I wasn't part of the League, I knew about the League of Women Voters, and I was a
awesome.
high school student. I
Oh,
knew
cool.
about it. When my mom became a citizen, and it was her first time voting, I gave her a guide where
Yeah.
it told her and it explained the biographies of each candidate with where their stance is on certain issues, and that is where my mom ended up deciding who she was going to vote for.
Amazing. That's great. I'm glad to hear
Yes.
that. That is all we have today. Is there anything else though that you wanted to share? Anything you wanted to make sure that people know, or anything?
If you want to make a difference, if you want to work and you want to increase voter engagement, join the League. Our information will be attached here, the link where you can go to our website and find more information and how you can join, be a member, and continue to make a difference across Dallas County.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Herlinda.
Yes.
Thank you.